killing him, but she doesn't do it. A magical flying pair of scissors does it, and making me feel the October vibe. I haven't read middle grade as an adult yet, so I'm very curious to see how this goes, and I need a coffee break. I just got off work, you guys, so my brain's like, to me, when I read the synopsis, it felt like your old school thrasher like movies like Scream, Halloween. And she wakes up a year ago on Halloween, and so now she kind of has to stop the murder from happening and killing her sister. Pumped for this book, and very excited to reread this because I just remember being obsessed with Raph. But hello, the cover is really stunning, and she's feeling things she hasn't felt in like years, but something's off about him is sealed. Wyatt! My cat. Hello book friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Caitlin, and I hope you're doing so lovely. Today's video, I bring you my October TBR, which I am really excited about. I originally wasn't going to do this video because I already did a fall TBR and I didn't want to sound too repetitive, but I'm so excited about the books I'm reading this month that I'm like, just film it. You know, who cares if you sound repetitive? It's your channel. So I'm here with my coffee. I hope you have something warm to drink or just something to drink and have a snack, and let's get into the video. Okay, so for the month of October, I have a lot of books on my TBR. I'm not saying I'm going to read all these books because I think I'm being pretty ambitious. But these are what I plan to read and to pick from for the month of October. So we are already 5 days into October, so I have read some books. So I'm not going to talk about those because you'll just have to wait for my October wrap up. But I will talk about the books that I'm going to read in the next coming weeks. This will include Kindle books and audiobooks, because I have some audiobooks from my library that I have put on hold, as well as like Kindle books. First book is The Witch Haven by Sasha Payton Smith. I'm actually currently reading this, so spoiler alert. But in this book, we follow 17-year-old Frances, who is a seamstress who lives in New York in the 1910s. Her brother was murdered, and she still has no idea why or by who. And she works for this horrible man who takes advantage of being a man, if you get what I'm saying. And one night she's finishing up a project late because if she doesn't finish it by tomorrow, she'll be fired. And he approaches the shop, and he is drunk, and he makes like a pass at her, and she's like so angry, and she's like, oh my god, this is where I die, because you know, he's just that type. And a magical flying pair of scissors comes and stabs him and kills him, and she's like, oh my god, what the hell. So the next day she is being investigated by the police, and then she is whisked away by these two nurses to Haven Sanitarium, which is a school for witches. And that is all I'm going to say about this book. And I do really like this book. It's all the vibes I wanted to. It's making me feel the October vibes. So yes. Book number 2 and 3 come as a pair, so I'm just going to say them now. So the first book is Amari and the Night Brothers. And then I'm also going to read Amari and the Great Game. So in this book, we follow Amari, who has a missing brother named Quentin, and she's like refused to believe he's still alive because he's been missing for so long. She finds a briefcase in his closet containing a nomination for a tryout at a magical academy, I think. Let me double check. Basically a secret organization, and she thinks by going there it may hold the key to telling her where Quentin is and what really happened. So she goes, and she finds out that her powers are actually illegal. So I'm very excited. This is a middle grade. This will be my first middle grade in a very long time. I haven't read middle grade as an adult yet, so I'm very curious to see how this goes. And obviously we have Amari and the Great Game, and this is the sequel / end of the duology, I'm pretty sure. And I'm very excited to read these both. I've been waiting to read these. I will be doing a special vlog for these guys, so look out for that. I need a coffee break. I just got off work, you guys, so my brain's like... Next, we we have How to Survive Your Murder by Danielle Valentine. This is one that I am really excited for. To me, when I read the synopsis, it felt like your old school thrasher like movies, like Scream, Halloween, those type of movies. That's what this feels like. In this book, we follow Alice, whose sister Claire was murdered in a corn maze on Halloween last year. And since then, Alice's life has kind of fallen apart. Her parents are getting a divorce. You know, she's lost her sister, and she has to go to court to face her sister's killer in trial. But during that court trial, she goes to the bathroom and she's knocked out by a bad boy, and she wakes up a year ago on Halloween, and so now she kind of has to stop the murder from happening and killing her sister. Pumped for this book, and I am really excited. Next book is Book of Night by Holly Black. This is Holly Black's first adult book, and I have heard mixed things about this book, but I'm going in with an open mind and zero expectations. That's what I've heard. In this book, we follow Charlie, who has worked for the bad guys, basically the people that steal the magicians' spells and make them into grimoires. And so now she's trying to move on from that. She works as a bartender. She has a sister named Posey who wants the magic and is desperate for it, but Charlie's like, no, I want to stay away from that. And her boyfriend Vince, who is keeping secrets from her, someone from Charlie's past reappears, and she has to steal magic again to save the people she loves. So it sounds good. This is the exclusive Waterstones edition. It's beautiful. I am just ready to dive into this book, and hopefully I like it. The next book we have is The Taking of Jake Livingston by Ryan Douglas. I am so excited for this book. This came out last year, I believe, and I wanted to read it last year. Didn't get around to it, so this year I'm like, you have to read this book. In this book, we follow Jake, who is actually a medium, and he lives in the world of the living and the world of the dead. And hi, editing Kaylin here. So in this clip you're about to see, I am saying that usually the spirits are harmful, but the spirit of Sawyer is not. I meant to say usually the spirits are harmless, but the spirit of Sawyer is not. So just keep that in mind when I'm talking about this book. I didn't realize that when I said it. I wish I did, because it's gonna bug me, but here I am in this fabulous clip of me looking like this. So let's get back to the video. And usually most spirits are harmful, but the spirit of the school shooter that died, named Sawyer, is not. He killed 6 people, and he's the bad guy, and now he is seeking revenge, and he includes Jake in his plans for that. So now Jake has to survive it, and that's really all I know about this book, and that's all I want to know about this book. And I'm just ready for like all these scary, spooky vibes for this one. Okay, so the next 3 books are in a series, and that is the Kingdom of the Wicked series. I don't have Kingdom of the Feared yet. It is on its way, but I needed to film this video today, so sorry. I'll put a picture up. But I have already read Kingdom of the Wicked. I read this last year. Yes, I read this last year. I absolutely adored this book. I read this in one sitting. It was incredible. And then we have Kingdom of the Cursed, and I have yet to read this one. I've heard very disappointing things about this one, so that's kind of what stopped me. But I'm hoping the last book will redeem itself and just be like amazing. In this book we follow Amelia, I think that's how you pronounce her name, I'm sorry if it's wrong, and her twin sister, and they're both witches. One night her twin sister ends up dead, and Amelia sets out to find the killer, and she ends up in the mix of the Prince of Hell named Wrath, but she doesn't know that yet, and it's so good. It's so good. I really enjoy this book. I'm actually doing a vlog where I'm going to be reading all 3, so look out for that. Very excited to reread this, because I just remember being obsessed with Wrath, like obsessed. So very excited to jump back into this world. Next book we have How to Succeed in Witchcraft by Alison Brophy. And this one was just recently sent to me by Penguin Random House, so thank you, Penguin Random House. And in this book, we follow Shay, who is a high school student, and she goes to a witch school, which so cool. And she is trying out for this play when her competitor Anna is too, and she thinks Anna is just this awful human, and she like is expecting the worst out of her. But when a certain teacher does something to Shay, Anna comes and kind of saves Shay and like has her back, and so Shay is kind of like, oh, maybe she's not so bad, and then they team up together to take this teacher down, and I am very excited for this one. I know I say that a lot. I need to find a new word. But hello, the cover is really stunning. Look at it. But yeah. Next book is actually a graphic novel, and this one is called Coven. And in this book, we follow MZ, who lives in California with her family. And she really doesn't care about her powers or being a witch or anything. She just wants to spend her days surfing and enjoying life with her girlfriend. But when her and her family have to go back east because the Coven is in trouble due to murders, she has to kind of hone in her powers and really like connect with them to save the Coven. And I love graphic novels, so to have a witch graphic novel, I'm very excited for, and the art style looks incredible. Very excited once again. Okay, the next part of this TBR is going to be the books I have from the library that are borrowed and already on my TBR. This does include an audiobook. So the first book is Coraline by Neil Gaiman, and I haven't seen Coraline. I know. I'm not really too sure what it's about. I'm going to go into it without knowing anything. I mean, I know she falls into this magical alternate universe, right? And I remember they have buttons on their eyes. Like, that's all I remember from it. But I've heard it's very good and perfect to read for this time of year. So that's one. The next book is also a library book, but I'm going to be reading it on my Kindle, and that is The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. I've read one Grady Hendrix book, and that was this one, The Final Girl Support Group. Absolutely loved it, and I've been meaning to read more Grady Hendrix, but I just haven't gotten around to it, so I thought this was like the perfect time, and it was ready to borrow from my library, and I said, why not? This is a Grady Hendrix one that I've been like wanting to and itching for, and I've heard a lot of people love this book, but in this book I'm gonna, because I don't exactly know what this book is about. Obviously, given from the title, it's a group of Southerns who are in a book club, and there's a vampire that lives in the neighborhood who is killing people, and they're trying to slay the vampire. I'm guessing that's what it's about, but let me, So in this book, we follow Patricia, who's tired of her life. She has a workaholic husband. There's not really much going. And so the only thing keeping her really, sane is her book club. And one night she's attacked by an elderly neighbor. And insert James, who is the handsome new neighbor who saves her and helps her. And kind of, sneakily, inserts himself into her life. And she's feeling things she hasn't felt in, years. But something's off about him, but it's too late because he is already in her life and she's already invited him in, and that's all I know, from what I read, and that's all I want to know. So, very excited to read this book. And the cover, I love the cover. I want to get this book physically just so I can display it because it is gorgeous. And the last book I'm going to be talking about is an audiobook, and that is Witchlings. And this one I know really nothing about. I saw it ready to borrow it from my library, and hello, Witchlings, October, I'm going to get it. So in this book, we follow 12-year-old Seven, who lives in this magical town, and every year during the Black Moon, they have the ceremony to pick which young witchlings are going to be in which coven. And so when it comes to her, she is not picked in one of the elite covens. She is in the spares, which are just the lesser known coven. And when it comes time to kind of seal the coven, they can't seal it, so she has to kind of do the impossible task to make sure the coven is sealed. Wyatt, my cat, and her and the other spares kind of have to do this impossible task to make sure it seals, and so they won't lose their powers. And I'm very excited for this middle grade. It's gonna be so cozy and whimsical and magical, and I am here for it. Okay, you guys, those are all the books I'm going to be reading in the month of October. I'm very excited for them. It makes me like excited to read, and I just love this feeling. If you guys like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe, because I would love to have you stick around. Tell me what books you guys are reading in the month of October. I would love to know. If you guys don't already, make sure to follow me on my social medias. They're always linked down below, and I will catch you guys in my next video.